Hello everyone and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we have a very scary story.
Spooky. We're actually bringing you the first of our advanced media lessons, and what better way to start it with than a scary story for Halloween?
Than with.
So what better way to start this advanced media lesson than with a scary story?
Right, so Halloween is coming up, and advanced media usually features a news story or some kind of story that we can then kind of break down and talk about, just have a conversation about, because you're advanced level learners and you want to have fun with English. So where is today's spooky story set, Marco?
Well, it starts out with a guy who remembers something very scary that happened to him when he was a kid.
Okay, and so one of the main characters in today's story is his great aunt.
That's right, his great aunt. And so basically this is a family member, but it's your father's aunt, right?
Right. Your grandmother or your grandfather's sister.
Right.
All right, so your aunt or your aunt is your parent's sibling. But in this case, we're talking about one generation older than that. So you could say great aunt, great uncle, great grandfather, great grandmother. It's like one step back.
Right.
So this is usually a very old person, and the great aunt is definitely an important character in today's story.
Exactly. So let's not keep you in suspense any longer. Why don't we listen to this scary story, and we'll be right back to talk about it.
Oh no, the lights went out. Honey, can you light a candle?
Sure. What do we do now?
Well, we can just talk, you know, like we used to.
I know. I'll tell you a scary story. It happened to me and my dad when I was a teenager. I was living with my father at the time when he received a phone call.
Hello. Yes, this is him. I see. Sorry to hear that. Okay, no problem. I'll be there shortly. Pack some clothes, Tony. My great aunt is very ill and no one in the family wants to take care of her. We're going to stay at her house for a few days.
Aunt? What aunt? I never knew you had a great aunt.
Well, the family doesn't talk about her, or get near her for that matter.
Why is that?
Come on, we have to go.
So we arrived at this old house on the outskirts of our town. There was almost no one around, and the house had an eerie look to it. Once inside the house, we walked to her room, and I was surprised to find my dad's great aunt in a wheelchair, yelling at someone, but we were alone in the room.
Hi, Aunt Ursula. This is my son, Tony.
Why have you come? Why are you here? Don't you know it isn't safe? My time is near. He's coming for me.
Who is coming for you?
The Prince of Darkness, the Lord of the Underworld, the Tempter, the Old Serpent.
Come on, Aunt Ursula, let's lay you down. You need to get some rest. Tony, help me lay her down.
That night, we slept in one of the 12 rooms of that big old mansion. The trees outside seemed to come alive, and their shadows formed ghoulish shapes on my bed. All of a sudden, we heard screaming.
Dad! Something is attacking Aunt Ursula!
Go back to the underworld, you dreamer. I shall be judged before you can take me.
The door is jammed. Stand back. Aunt Ursula, where are you?
Over here!
And as we approached her, she was lying on the floor with her hands and feet open like the Vitruvian Man, breathing heavily with bloody marks and scratches on her arms, legs, and face. Remember how I mentioned that she was in a wheelchair? My aunt had been paralyzed from the neck down for just over a year. After this incident, strange things would happen in the house, and my aunt would yell and scream, according to her, warding off the evil that had come to get her. As the days passed, she became very weak and eventually was unable to talk. My dad had to work during the day, so I was left to care for her. When she lost her voice and laid on her deathbed, I would hear her breathe in and out. Until finally one day she breathed in and never exhaled. That night I felt relieved that it was finally over, but it wasn't. I was so terrified of what I was hearing that I didn't sleep all night. The following morning, I went to the bathroom, expecting to find a mess and everything torn up, but I found everything exactly as it was before. The movers came that same day, and as we were cleaning out her drawers and personal items, we found strange notebooks with names and amounts of money written next to them. We found pictures with people's faces sewn with black or red string. And you want to know what the strangest thing was? There was a small doll filled with dead ants, with a strand of hair tied around its waist. And on the doll's face, there was a picture of me with the numbers 311009. You know what date it is today? October 31st, 2009. All right, we're back. So, what you think? Pretty scary?
I got goosebumps. It's a little spooky.
A little
yeah.
scary. Now, what's interesting about this story? It's based on a true story, so that makes it even scarier.
No.
Yeah.
Dare I ask? Did this happen to you?
No, I'm not old enough, but this actually happened to a family member of mine, and that's why I know this story. So it was kind of told to me when I was a bit younger, and I remembered it. And well, Halloween is a great time to remember these things.
And the first time you heard it, it scared the crap out of you, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Actually, the first time I heard it, we were on an airplane, like on October 31st.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty scary.
Well, we've got a lot of really interesting stuff here. We're not going to dwell too long on the grammar or the vocabulary because we assume that most of you have understood this, but there are a couple of things that can be really difficult even for English speakers. So the first one is this phrase, my time is near.
My time is near. So what does that mean exactly?
Well, my time is near. My end is coming. It means I'm very old and I'm probably going to die soon. So my time, his time, that's when you die.
Okay, so it's always used in reference to death, right?
In this case, yeah. So it's used in reference to death. And in this case, you have the aunt who's talking about herself, but you could also say his time is coming. We should visit him in the hospital. So it's a kind of softer way of saying that someone is going to die soon.
Right. Okay, so my time is near or his time is near. All right. And then something really interesting in this story as well. She had many different names that she called the devil. So she didn't directly say the devil. She said the Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness, Lord of the Underworld, the Tempter.
The Tempter and the Old Serpent. So these are actually different ways that historically have been used to describe the devil, right?
That's right. And a lot of them are biblical, like the Old Serpent, back in the first pages of the Bible when the serpent tempts Eve, that's the devil. And so we hear a lot of these, especially on Halloween. These are great words to use to kind of diversify and not say devil, devil, devil.
Right. Okay. So apart from those synonyms for the devil, she also used an interesting phrase towards the end when she said, I shall be judged before you can take me.
So, judged, to judge, this is to see if something is right or wrong. But in this case, we talk about judgment at the end of a person's life. So that means when you go to the gates of heaven and there's St. Peter and he has a list of the good and the bad and he says yes or no.
Right.
And then if you're a no, you get sent down to hell. If you're a yes, you go to heaven.
Right.
So she says, I shall be judged. This means I want my day in court. I want to have my actions analyzed by St. Peter, not by you.
Right, exactly. So actually this makes reference to a lot of beliefs in Christianity, right? So it's just another aspect of the story, but of course, other religions probably don't have the same things such as like the gates of heaven and St. Peter.
Right, the system of
judgment. All right. So what did you think of the story? Did you like it?
I really liked it. I thought that it was really spooky, and I thought that it built up well. But I also like the imagery. We talked about or we haven't talked about this yet, but he describes his great aunt. The character describes his great aunt as being spread out like the Vitruvian man. So you have this image of her arms spread out and her legs spread out. You know that picture that Da Vinci did of a human being, and it's like an anatomy, and it's in a circle, and you can see the legs and the arms. That's just so really like a powerful visual image.
Yeah, you can imagine her laying on the bed in this position, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is pretty scary. What about you? Have you ever had any close encounters with the supernatural or ghosts or goblins or something like this?
No, personally, I've never had any experiences like that, and I tend to not believe ghost stories. But maybe if this had happened to someone I knew, I'd be a little bit more skeptical or less skeptical. But
what about like when they have those documentaries or those recordings of strange voices or appearances, like these old castles in England or stuff like that? What do you think?
I love those shows. I just watched one, and it was about a haunted house. There was a woman who used a Ouija board, and it let a demon out, and the demon possessed the girl, and they called in a priest, and the priest had to like exorcise the demon from the little girl, and the house was haunted, and it was hurting people, and it was like possessing people.
Wow, it sounds like a movie.
Yeah, it does, but it was like a TV show on Discovery Channel, and it was really, really fun. But like, I don't actually believe that like a spirit could push someone down the stairs. I think that you trip and then you attribute it to a spirit. But.
Right. What about the Ouija board? That's an interesting tool that many people say opens up, like portals and dimensions towards hell, or spirits can come out and stuff like that.
Right. Well, for those of you who don't know, the Ouija board is a board, like a piece of cardboard that has letters on it, letters and numbers, and so you have this glass that you hold. And once the spirit comes, it guides the glass to point out to names or places, and you spell them. And they're really popular with like 13-year-old girls who have these slumber parties, and they use it. And we always have to say, who is she going to date? And then it moves. But I believe in the power of the human mind. So I think a lot of times, even if we're not aware of it, we're the ones, manipulating this
or
glass.
Believing what we want to believe.
Yeah. But what about you? Are you superstitious? Do you believe in ghosts?
I'm not superstitious. I don't know what to think about ghosts because I've actually had a couple of very strange encounters with the supernatural, but I really wouldn't say, oh yeah, I believe in ghosts, or I believe they're spirits that haven't been put to rest, or they have unfinished business, like in Casper or something like that.
Yeah.
But once we were having dinner with my family and in the house where we used to live, and it was a very old house, and we had a glass of water on the table, and all of a sudden it started to move and to rotate across the table, the center of the table, and we all saw it, and no one was touching it. So we all were pretty confused and nervous, and then just kind of burst out in nervous laughter. And we didn't really know what to make of it, but it was very strange because it moved a good amount towards like half of the table, and it was spinning at the same time, so it was very strange.
Weird.
So things like this, and in general, Hispanic or Latin American culture they're very superstitious. They have a lot of beliefs in like magic, or some people still are reluctant to give out a picture, for example, because of something like this in the story. They say you shouldn't give out pictures to boyfriends or girlfriends or anyone, because if you break up or something is to happen, then they could do something with that picture and maybe hurt you.
Really? So this idea that you have a likeness, like a picture or a doll or something. What can you talk about that? Because I don't really know anything about it. Having that means that you're able to like do something to that very person.
Yeah, like not necessarily like a voodoo doll, right? Where you see that you can put pins in it and then it would hurt someone. But people believe that pictures, for example, they capture your image, and so if somebody has it and wants to do harm or black magic, then they can use that as an instrument to get into you.
Okay.
The same as pieces of clothing, or the same as hair, and things like this. So that's why there are the shamans, or the Indian witch doctors who do cleansing like this, and people still actually go to them. People in the city still believe in these things, and they'll go to a shaman and get themselves cleansed because they believe that their luck, they have really bad luck, or they've been very, very sick for a long time and doctors can't figure out what it is. They think it's because someone has cast a spell on them or is doing some black magic to them, and they need to get it cleansed.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's really, really common. But it's all part of the folklore and the heritage of the countries, and
Right.
it's actually very, very interesting. And some things are just really out there, really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it, I think, comes from indigenous beliefs mixing with Catholicism too, right?
Yeah,
Because a lot
exactly.
of South American countries and Latin American countries are very Catholic, but it's they get kind of melded, these traditions with
Yeah.
indigenous beliefs, and then you have these crazy rituals and like
We actually have a belief, and it's very true, that when somebody is completely in love with this girl, and this girl is like maybe not very nice or not very nice to that guy, but he's still completely into her. So
Right.
there's this word that we say that he's been like underweared or something like that. And the reason behind this is that one of these rituals that I talked about is that the girl would make tea, right? Would take a tea pot, and in it would put her underpants, used underpants, to make the tea water, and then would serve it to the guy. So the moment that he drank it, this was like a magic potion, and then he would continuously be in love with her.
oh,
So yeah, it's very strange.
that's gross. Do people actually do that?
No, it's not something that you do now. But it's something that people knew about, that used to be done way, way before.
Oh, okay, so people now, it's part of the language where you say
Yeah, it's
that
a-
someone has been like
Underweared or something like that.
She cast a spell on him,
Yeah.
maybe what we would say.
So things like this that, of course, aren't really done anymore, but still people make reference to it because we know it from our history that it's
Oh,
been
wow.
done before.
How cool. Well, I'm really curious to know if our users have any similar stories or have any scary stories they want to tell.
I bet they do.
I'm sure they do. And this advanced media lesson is a great place for you to do that, because we expect that a lot of advanced level learners are going to be listening to it, and practicing your writing is really important. So we hope that you'll put some comments on this lesson, and of course ask us as many questions as you want.
All right, so we'll see you guys there, and have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we're talking about one of my least favorite things, Marco.
Mosquitoes.
Ugh.
Mosquitoes. They're all over the place, especially in summer or near water.
Exactly.
And for me, the worst part is when you are trying to sleep and there's a mosquito that just keeps on biting you and won't let you sleep. Yeah.
You can kind of hear it around your head, by
around
your ears.
ear. Uh-huh.
Oh, I hate that. Or when you just get bitten and you're in bed and it just itches so much
and
you
it
can't
burns
sleep.
sometimes.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about today. Fun stuff. Let's jump right into this dialogue, and we'll be back in a minute to talk about what's going on.
The mosquitoes are biting me.
Me too. I can't stop scratching. They're everywhere, sneaky little jerks.
Do you have any bug spray?
No, I forgot to buy some.
Then we'll have to put up with it.
We can cover ourselves with beer. That way, if they bite us, they'll get drunk and fall asleep.
That's, without doubt, the best idea you've ever had. Let's do it.
Run! They're thirsty for more!
All right, we're back. So let's take a look at some of these words in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, so as we mentioned, we're going to be talking about mosquitoes. And, well, these are just little small insects that suck your blood.
They do, and they're very thin. And not much to say about them. They were very important in the movie Jurassic Park, if you remember that.
Right. Now, what's the difference between a mosquito and a fly?
Okay, a fly usually is just annoying. It doesn't suck your blood, but a mosquito does. It sucks your blood. And flies are fatter and like shorter.
And they're big and black.
And they're
or
black.
green, kind of, sometimes.
Black and green, and they they just buzz around.
So-
and mosquitoes actually bite you.
Okay, so a mosquito and a fly. Now, if a mosquito bites you, you really, really want to scratch.
That's right. So you feel like you need to scratch your body because you have this bite. It's really an allergy, and you have a red bump on your arm, a red mark, and you scratch and it gets worse and worse.
All right. And moving on to our next word, mosquitoes have a reputation of being sneaky.
Okay, so you can say sneaky about a lot of things. One, obviously we're saying mosquitoes are very sneaky. That means that they can kind of hide and get you when you're not expecting it.
Yeah, because sometimes during the day, you don't really see them in your room, right? They're hiding or they're in a place where you can't really see them.
And then at night, all of a sudden, they come out.
They come out. So, and they're very hard to see. They fly around in a way that's very difficult to catch them or kill them, right?
Right, we could say thieves are very sneaky. Like a thief is someone who steals something and they like to sneak around and hide in the dark. And then when you're not expecting it, they come out and they steal your stuff.
Exactly. And now what do we do or what do we use in order to prevent mosquitoes from biting us?
This is essential, especially if you're going to the beach. We bring bug spray.
Bug spray.
So a spray is something that that you can usually have in a can that you push a button and it comes out.
All right.
Right? It's like water, but it keeps the bugs away.
So bug spray keeps bugs away, not only mosquitoes, but like
flies too.
Flies or any other type of bug. Now, specifically for mosquitoes, you would use maybe a mosquito repellent.
Right. So repellent is it means something that pushes or keeps away things you don't want. So something that keeps mosquitoes away is called a mosquito repellent. And usually it's a cream you put on your arms or legs.
All right, very good. So interesting words that we've just taken a look at. Let's listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be right back.
The mosquitoes are biting me.
Me too. I can't stop scratching. They are everywhere, sneaky little jerks.
Do you have any bug spray?
No, I forgot to buy some.
Then we'll have to put up with it.
We can cover ourselves with beer. That way, if they bite us, they'll get drunk and fall asleep.
That's, without doubt, the best idea you've ever had. Let's do it.
Run! They're thirsty for more!
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at a couple of different phrases on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
All right, so the first phrase is very, very common. The person in the dialogue says that they're going to have to put up with these mosquitoes because they didn't have any bug spray. So this phrase, to put up with, is really important.
All right, so if you put up with something, it means that you tolerate it.
All right, that means even if you don't want to, you'll still handle it. You'll still have to deal with it.
You accept it. So maybe you have a little brother that's very annoying and you just have to put up with him. There's no other option.
Yeah. Or someone says to you, you're just going to have to put up with it. Or you say, I won't put up with it anymore. I won't handle this anymore. I'm done.
All right. So I think this is a great phrase for us to take a look at a couple of different examples.
Example 1.
I can't put up with the noise any longer. Turn that music down.
Example 2.
If you can put up with the smell, then stinky tofu is actually very tasty.
Example 3.
I've had to put up with him for too long. I want a new roommate.
And after this, we've got another phrase. We're talking about beer, okay? And so the person says, oh, I have an idea. Instead of bug spray, we can cover ourselves with beer.
So to cover yourself or cover ourselves. So it means that we put it all over us.
Right, so you could even cover yourself with bug spray.
Okay, so every part of your body, you put bug spray on it.
Head to toe.
Head to toe. Now, you can cover yourself under a tree, maybe.
Or you can cover yourself with a blanket.
Okay, so to cover yourself, to completely hide under something.
And finally, we have the response to this idea, the answer. The person says, oh, without a doubt. That means absolutely or definitely.
Okay, so there is no doubt. It is true or it is certain.
Right, so a doubt is something that maybe you're not so sure about. You're not convinced.
But you can say this is without a doubt the best mosquito spray.
Or this is without a doubt the best cake I've ever eaten. That means it's definitely the best cake I've ever eaten.
All right, so I think we've covered all the phrases now. Why don't we listen to our dialogue for the last time and we'll be right back.
The mosquitoes are biting me.
Me too. I can't stop scratching. They're everywhere, sneaky little jerks.
Do you have any bug spray?
No, I forgot to buy some.
Then we'll have to put up with it.
We can cover ourselves with beer. That way, if they bite us, they'll get drunk and fall asleep.
That's, without doubt, the best idea you've ever had. Let's do it.
Run! They're thirsty for more!
Mosquitoes are very annoying, but at times they can be very dangerous, right?
They can. There are a couple of diseases that can be passed by mosquito bites. One of them is malaria, and that's, I think, pretty common in Southeast Asia and South Asia.
Now, there was another situation where people believe that if a mosquito bit a person infected with HIV or AIDS, they could pass it on to another person.
Aha, well, I don't know that that's even possible
Right.
because there's no AIDS-carrying mosquitoes. But there's another disease called dengue fever.
Dengue fever, yes.
And this is another very dangerous one. It's also known as breakbone fever, and I think it's so painful it feels like your bones are breaking, and that's where the name comes from.
It's very common in South America as well, and because we have such a tropical climate that in the rainforests of Brazil, Peru, Colombia, it's common to see this, but not so much anymore. Now they're eradicating it.
Oh, well.
All right, so an interesting topic. Mosquitoes are not only irritating, but can be dangerous. So if you have any other questions or doubts, please come to our website, englishpod.com, and we're there to answer any questions.
So we'll see you on the website, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. To rub your skin with something sharp. Scratch. Behaving in a secret and usually dishonest manner. Sneaky. To allow to exist or happen. Put up with. A liquid used to prevent being bitten by bugs. Bug spray. A small flying insect that bites the skin. Mosquito. Let's try that faster. A liquid used to prevent being bitten by bugs. Bug spray. A small flying insect that bites the skin. Mosquito. Behaving in a secret and usually dishonest manner. Sneaky. To allow to exist or happen. Put up with. To rub your skin with something sharp. Scratch. Now say the word and hear it in a sentence. Mosquito. Mosquito bites are very itchy. Mosquito. Some mosquitoes can spread diseases through their bites. Mosquito. Only female mosquitoes bite. Scratch. The cat scratched me with its claws. Scratch. Will you please scratch my back? Scratch. Be careful not to scratch the table. Sneaky. That was a sneaky trick. Sneaky. The sneaky thief crept into the open window. Sneaky. The kid snuck into the movie without paying. Bug spray.
Pass me the bug spray. I'm being eaten alive. Bug spray. Try to avoid getting the bug spray in your eyes. Bug spray. Let's try this natural bug spray. It's made with garlic. Put up with. I can't put up with the noise any longer. Turn down that music. Put up with. If you can put up with the smell, then stinky tofu is actually very tasty. Put up with. I have put up with him for too long. I want a new roommate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and today we have an advanced media level lesson, so that's the very highest of our levels.
Right, and we're going to be talking about a very popular tradition in North America, a Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay, so Thanksgiving is a very special holiday for Americans, and Canadians also celebrate it.
But on different dates, right? Canadians have it on a different date.
Exactly. I'm not sure what the Canadian date is, but Americans celebrate it at the end of November. The day changes every year because it's a Thursday, but we usually have the day off from work or school, and we all eat together and celebrate the year and celebrate the harvest and celebrate our families and friends.
So this tradition of Thanksgiving, what do you commemorate or what do you celebrate?
Well, we actually celebrate the first harvest that the Pilgrims had when they were right off the boat in New England. So that's the eastern part of America. These people had come from England, and they were trying to find a new land and a new life, and they ended up in the Massachusetts area. And they didn't know how to farm. And they didn't know how to work the land. And so the Native Americans who were living there at the time helped them out, helped them grow corn, helped them find out how to use the land in a productive way. And so when that first harvest happened, everyone was able to grow, it's actually a year after they arrived, everyone was able to grow corn and food and crops, and then they all shared a meal together to celebrate this wonderful occasion.
Wow.
And it actually helped them survive the winter because most of the Pilgrims, most of the settlers, they died during the first winter. And so this was a really great thing for them.
Wow. That's really interesting. An interesting aspect of history and why this is celebrated mostly, as you say, in North America and Canada, and that's why many other countries don't really have it. But it's a popular get-together, and, well, what you usually have is a turkey, right?
Exactly. So turkey is a very big bird, and they go gobble, 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 gobble. And they have that kind of really red, long kind of thing on their necks and big tail feathers. And they're delicious. But the funny thing is about turkey that there's a chemical in it that makes you very sleepy. Well, not a chemical. There's a protein in it that makes you very sleepy.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So the joke is that after you eat dinner on Thanksgiving, everyone falls asleep on the sofa.
Well, Thanksgiving meals in the United States are very, very big. They're very elaborate, right? You not only have turkey, but you have pumpkin pie, and you have mashed potatoes and gravy, and just like a table full of food.
Exactly. And it's a way to celebrate, well, to give thanks for all the things that you have. And so we like to cook a lot of food to celebrate that. And they're all fall foods. So squash, pumpkin, potatoes, things like that.
All right. So we have a dialogue here. So it's just that. It's a guy who is preparing a turkey dinner and also preparing pumpkin pie, but he's doing it in a very peculiar way. So why don't we listen to the dialogue, and then we'll come back and just talk a little bit about the different terms that he used. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our show. Today, we are going to learn how to cook the perfect Thanksgiving turkey. I will share a secret that I have kept for over 30 years on how to cook the perfect, most mouth-watering, juiciest turkey in the world. Let's get started. First of all, we must bring out our key ingredient, whiskey. You see, the grains used to make whiskey along with the alcohol brings out the flavor of the turkey meat. Let's pour 1 cup of whiskey on the turkey and serve yourself a cup as well. Cheers. That's good 12-year whiskey right there. Okay, back to our turkey. Preheat your oven to 475 degrees Fahrenheit. Now have another cup of whiskey. Now that the oven is hot, we place our bird on a rack inside a roasting pan. Let's add some whiskey to give it some extra flavor. And let's have another cup. That hit the spot. There we go. We can leave it in there for the next 45 minutes. In the meantime, let's have another sip of whiskey and start with our delicious pumpkin pie. Lightly whisk together 2 eggs and the extra yolk in a large bowl. Once that's ready, we can put sugar, spices such as cloves, grated nutmeg, and cinnamon with some cream and dark rum into a saucepan. Slowly bring up to simmering point, stirring occasionally. Now you may notice that we are using some dark rum in this pie. This is because the richness of the pumpkin is beautifully enhanced by the dark rum. So to celebrate this great occasion, pour yourself a glass. Cheers! Now that we have finished with the filling, let's bake the pie for 45 to 50 minutes until the filling has puffed up around the edges and the center is almost set. All done. A cup of rum to celebrate the completion of this great Thanksgiving dinner. After waiting for an hour and having a couple of drinks, it's time to check on our turkey. Take the turkey out of the oven. Pick the turkey off of the ground. Don't worry, it will add flavor to this recipe. Now also remove the pie from the oven and serve while still hot. Cheers and happy Thanksgiving! All right, we're back. So I think this is going to be one great Thanksgiving dinner for him.
Oh my gosh. And talking about this is making me so hungry. This always happens when we have food lessons.
What about, do you have any family members who actually drink a little bit too much during Thanksgiving?
Yes, and I won't say who.
All right. So as he was preparing the Thanksgiving dinner, he mentioned a couple of things. For example, a mouth-watering turkey.
Mouth-watering. So this is a way to say appetizing. You know when you see something delicious on TV and yeah,
your mouth
starts to water. You're salivating. That means that your brain is telling you that you want to eat it.
Right.
And so your mouth starts to water. So we say that something that's very appetizing, something that looks like it will taste very, very good, it's mouth-watering.
Mouth-watering. All right, so he was preparing a mouth-watering turkey. Mm-hmm. So moving on, he mentioned that he had a key ingredient for his turkey, and it was whiskey. Not only whiskey, but 12-year whiskey.
Okay, so the thing about whiskeys is that oftentimes on the label of a bottle, they'll advertise how old the whiskey is because you pay more for older whiskeys. They have better taste in many cases. Well, I guess it depends. But in this case, it's a 12-year whiskey. That means that it was stored in a cask for 12 years to let it age. Mm-hmm. And then they sell it after 12 years. And so that's the special ingredient.
That's the special ingredient, 12-year whiskey. And well, he not only put it on the turkey, but also he had a couple of drinks himself. And in one of those, he mentioned that hit the spot.
That hit the spot.
What spot?
The spot. Okay, so this is a really common phrase in English that we use to say that something is very satisfying.
Mm-hmm. So that hit the spot. And not only for drinks, right?
No, you could use it for food or anything, really. So in this case, I could say, oh, I was so hungry. That sandwich really hit the spot.
Okay.
I really needed to eat right now, and that sandwich was perfect.
That was perfect. Mm-hmm. All right. So that hit the spot. Now, when he referred to the turkey, in one occasion he said, we place our bird on a rack. All right, so what's a bird and what's the rack?
Okay, so this is really interesting. We talk about the turkey oftentimes when we're making commercials or talking about recipes as the bird. So you want to take out the bird and you want to open the packaging. So the bird is the turkey. A turkey is a kind of bird. You can say this about chicken as well because it's another kind of bird, but this is a kind of a colloquial term in cooking for whatever bird you're cooking.
Right. Okay. And when you're placing it on a rack, what's a rack?
Okay. So in our ovens, an oven is it's a kitchen appliance that you have that heats up food. But it's not like a microwave. It's much stronger. And so inside there are metal bars. We don't have, they're like shelves, but they're open. And so these metal bars are called a rack.
Okay.
So you put the turkey in the oven on the rack.
Right. You can't put it on the base of the oven because then it would burn up.
Exactly. And you don't have a shelf because that would be a problem.
All right. And, well, moving on the instructions when he was preparing the pumpkin pie, he told us to lightly whisk together 2 eggs. So we have a verb here, to whisk.
To whisk.
So that's not only a verb, but a noun as well, right?
All right.
It's an instrument.
Exactly. And this is a verb we often use with eggs. So to whisk eggs. You can also whisk like sauce for a salad, so like a salad dressing. But it's a way that we stir something. And so oftentimes we have an instrument called a whisk that that's not like a fork. It actually looks kind of funny. It's got bars on it.
Like wire that kind of make a circle.
Exactly, and they are very thin wires, and you usually stir very, very, very quickly. Especially if you have eggs, this will break up the egg, and
Right.
it becomes kind of like foamy.
Foamy, yeah. To make like an omelet, for example.
Exactly. So to whisk is a kind of, it's a way to stir.
Okay. And then he mentioned some ingredients such as sugar, spices, and grated nutmeg. So what is this verb, grated nutmeg? Or an adjective, grated?
Exactly. So this adjective grated means that, it's a kind of way to cut up something. And so you often hear the term grated cheese. That means not a big chunk of cheese, but we push it against a board to get little pieces of it to fall off. And that's called grated cheese. And so in this case, we have grated nutmeg. That means that it's been kind of, the nutmeg comes in
Very
pods.
small pieces.
Yeah, pieces, and we're breaking it down.
All right. Very good. And he also mentioned something about bringing the sauce to a simmering point. What is that simmering point?
Okay, simmering point is a time when you're cooking where the liquid goes from being calm to being very agitated and moving.
But it's not boiling, right?
No, boiling means you have big bubbles.
Right.
Like boiling water. But simmering is where it's kind of little bubble. There's a little bit of action on the surface of the
Okay.
liquid, but it's not boiling. It's in the middle between flat and calm and agitated and boiling.
Boiling. Okay, so that's the simmering point. Very good. And that's pretty much all of the interesting phrases in the dialogue. There are a lot more, but we don't really have time to cover that huge amount of rich vocabulary. So why don't we listen to this dialogue one last time? Hello everyone and welcome back to our show. Today we are going to learn how to cook the perfect Thanksgiving turkey. I will share a secret that I have kept for over 30 years on how to cook the perfect, most mouth-watering, juiciest turkey in the world. Let's get started. First of all, we must bring out our key ingredient, whiskey. You see, the grains used to make whiskey along with the alcohol brings out the flavor of the turkey meat. Let's pour 1 cup of whiskey on the turkey and serve yourself a cup as well. Cheers. That's good 12-year whiskey right there. Okay, back to our turkey. Preheat your oven to 475 degrees Fahrenheit. Now have another cup of whiskey. Now that the oven is hot, we place our bird on a rack inside a roasting pan. Let's add some whiskey to give it some extra flavor. And let's have another cup. That hit the spot. There we go. We can leave it in there for the next 45 minutes. In the meantime, let's have another sip of whiskey and start with our delicious pumpkin pie. Lightly whisk together 2 eggs and the extra yolk in a large bowl. Once that's ready, we can put sugar, spices such as cloves, grated nutmeg, and cinnamon with some cream and dark rum into a saucepan. Slowly bring up to simmering point, stirring occasionally. Now you may notice that we are using some dark rum in this pie. This is because the richness of the pumpkin is beautifully enhanced by the dark rum. So to celebrate this great occasion, pour yourself a glass. Cheers! Now that we have finished with the filling, let's bake the pie for 45 to 50 minutes until the filling has puffed up around the edges and the center is almost set. All done. A cup of rum to celebrate the completion of this great Thanksgiving dinner. After waiting for an hour and having a couple of drinks, it's time to check on our turkey. Take the turkey out of the oven. Pick the turkey off of the ground. Don't worry, it will add flavor to this recipe. Now also remove the pie from the oven and serve while still hot. Cheers and happy Thanksgiving! All right, we're back. So Thanksgiving dinner, really popular. Catherine, have you ever cooked or are you into the whole Thanksgiving feast?
I'm very into it. It's my favorite holiday in America, mostly because everyone gets to celebrate it. It's not religious, so you don't have to worry about other people not celebrating it or not knowing what to do. And it's also a celebration about family and food, and so it's a wonderful experience to have Thanksgiving because you're with everybody. And we always say in America that if someone doesn't have a place to go on Thanksgiving, you should invite them to your house.
That's true.
And so it's a very inviting and warm holiday. And I love cooking, and I love being in the kitchen, and I love having people in the house cooking. And so, yeah, I've definitely been a part of the cooking side of things.
Now, in many movies, they kind of mock this holiday because it's a time where everyone gets together, as you say, no matter religion, creed, or race. And that also causes for a lot of family members to get together and argue and have discussions about politics or talk about family problems and stuff like that. So what do you think of that?
Well, I think it's an exaggeration, but it happens. People get very stressed out during the holidays. They call it the holidays because this is beginning where you have Thanksgiving and then later Christmas. But I personally don't have experience with that really on Thanksgiving because it's such a happy holiday for us. So, and in my family, arguments about politics and history and all that is very encouraged. And so it's just a part of the holiday where we have one person at the table who says this and the other person says this and you're all drinking and it's fun. I look forward to it.
All right, very good. So if you guys have any other questions or doubts about this holiday, because as we say, it's very common in North America and Canada, you can come to our website, englishpod.com. And if you have any other questions or suggestions, you can leave those there as well.
We look forward to hearing what you have to say, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.